Okay, can I know your name?
Varun KR.
Varun KR. Is this your first class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, which branch have you got admitted to?
The one
No, I'm asking which, like, are you BCom, BBA, or BCA?
BCom.
BCom, okay.
Yes.
So far, we are taken up this environmental science. It's a mandatory subject for you, like, for all the branches. Okay, BBA, BCom, BCA. I'm handling all the three courses. Okay, so ಎಲ್ಲ combined ಇದೀವಿ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ BBA, BCom, BCA ಅವರು. Okay, so coming to the subject ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, so 100 marks ಇರುತ್ತೆ total, but out of 100, 20 will be internals. Okay,
Okay.
then you will be writing the final exam for 80. Okay, so for 80 marks sigirutte, all will be multiple choice questions, so objective type question papers. This is okay, so each question carry 1 mark, and then
ಇಂಟರ್ನಲ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಈಗ ಯಾವಾಗ 18th ಇದೆ ನಮ್ಮ
so internals for all this this is information for all students. Okay, so it starts on 18th, 19th, and 20th. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So none the concern to my subject. So portions will be from first chapter, which is the introduction. Okay. So introductory chapters, and the second chapter, which is natural resources. So Varun KR, you said your
Yes,
name
ma'am.
Varun KR. So now we are at a stage when we, today or in the next class, we are going to finish the natural resources. Second chapter mugita bandida, few concepts ide. Okay. So
ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್
ನಿಮಗೆ
ಬುಕ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಮಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ?
So I'll send materials ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಸಿಗೋದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟನೇ. I have my soft copy of notes I have made. Okay.
Okay.
Based on the syllabus for this semester on this subject. Okay. So I have prepared my own notes which can be helpful for your studies. I will send you. Do you have your own groups? BBA, BCom, BCA, ನಿಮ್ದು class groups ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ? So with the faculties inside that WhatsApp group ಇದೆ BCA ಅವರು ಇದೆಯಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Where can I add my number to that?
So you contact your concerned HOD and
Okay.
ask him to put him in the group. Okay.
Okay.
Then yeah, so BCom ನವ್ರದ್ದು ಇದೆ ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್. Then likewise BBA ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಇದೆ, correct?
BCom group ಇಲ್ಲ ma'am. No ma'am.
BCom ದಿಲ್ವಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ma'am.
BBA ಅವ್ರದ್ದು?
No ma'am. BBA ಇಲ್ಲ ma'am. No ma'am.
ಇಬ್ರದ್ದು ಇಲ್ವಾ? So let me check with the concerned faculty. How can I exchange those materials? ಆಯ್ತಾ? So I can share the PPTs ಕೂಡ slide share ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ನೋಡೋಣ. Okay, somehow next 1 or 2 days I'll send the concerned whatever the materials needed for your preparation. So 18th, is it? So not this coming. Okay, yeah, today is 9th. We have nearly 10, 12 days. Okay, so before that, as soon as possible, I'll try to send the soft copies of the related topics what I'm teaching. Okay, so let's continue. Varun KR. So this is the second chapter, which is called natural resources. Okay.
Okay.
So natural resources, so how far we have been learning about forest resources. Okay. So we already learned about forest resources, water resources, then mineral resources. Okay. So then energy resources. So we are at the at present we are learning about energy resources. Okay. So energy resources, the one left out after this energy resource is land resources. So and just for Varun, I've been like, since it's your first class, I would like to let you know that so we have in this college we have, or normally we have this checking your notes when it comes to if it was a regular class, we would have checked your notes regularly. Because this is online, we couldn't do that. So it's better you maintain some book or notes in a however you like, want to have it. Okay, so I have prepared the PPT slides. So you write down the points, or however you want, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೂ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಾನು, as I said, this subject is not a descriptive type. Okay, so this is objective type. So as I proceed with my classes, so it's better to write down the points. Okay, so then when it's like before the final exam, we have this following this rule that only you will get hall tickets after checking the notes. Okay, after that notes, what you have written throughout the class, throughout the time, so we'll check that and correct it. And if you got corrected by us, then only get hall tickets. So be prepared for that. So let it not be a last moment problem for you. Okay,
No worry, ma'am.
okay. So let me share the slide what I'm going through. So we have been learning about the energy sources, energy resources. So far we have been in the energy resources, we have dealt the topics: forest, mineral, water. Okay, right now we are up to the energy resources. Energy resources, we've been learning about the renewable energy resources. Okay, so renewable energy resources, we discussed in our last class regarding the hydropower projects. Okay, am I correct, Sushma DS? ಹೌದಮ್ಮ ಸುಷ್ಮಾ DS ಕೇಳಿಸುತ್ತಾ? ನಾವು ಎನರ್ಜಿ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗ, ಸೊ ವಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಸೋಲಾರ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದೆನ್ we discussed the advantages of solar energy, then hydropower. All right, so then wind. Can you see the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so wind energy discuss madidvi. Then we also discussed about the no, that's where I stopped, I think, last week. Correct? Howda makla?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I stopped at wind energy. So in that renewable resources, so I still need to cover. So last one in the renewable one, last two, that is geothermal energy. Okay, so geothermal energy is the energy from the geo refers to earth. Okay, so geography kelidiri. So geo refers to earth and thermal refers to what? What does thermal now
Heat.
what are
Heat.
Heat.
yes,
Heat.
so thermal refers to heat. So the energy we get from the heat which is present in the earth. Okay, so deep underground, so we know that like quite deep inside the earth crust or in the earth core, so it's very, very hot. Okay, so it's around few thousand degrees centigrades. So temperature will be very high at the core of the earth. So using that heat, okay, using that heat energy, so we can generate electricity. Okay, so in this chapter, in this energy resources, how can this electricity be generated anta heli nodta ideve. Okay, so we have been generating electricity through using water, using wind. Okay, so using the temperature, using the heat inside the earth. Okay, so electricity or power can be generated. Okay, so this slides so gives you now the earth's rocks are naturally very hot. We can turn the heat energy into electrical energy. That's how what I meant. So it's generating power using that heat energy present inside the earth. Okay, so we call this as geothermal energy. So how actually it is done anta heli, it's not done very widely spread type or kind of energy generation, but very few places like New Zealand, in Australia and Greenland, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಕಂಟ್ರಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, so the some part of the earth is geothermally active ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಜಿಯೋಥರ್ಮಲಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಏರಿಯಾಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ರೀಜನ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಹೈ ಜಿಯೋಥರ್ಮಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ, ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಹೈ. ಅಂತ ಕಡೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಈ ಜಿಯೋಥರ್ಮಲ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಅಳವಡಿಸಿ, ಸೊ ವಿ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಥ್ರೂ ಎ ಪ್ರೊಸೀಜರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಜಿಯೋಥರ್ಮಲ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಹೌ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಆನ್ ದ ರೈಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಆಫ್ slide. So what we do is, so we like drill a hole deep inside the earth crust, knowing where there is a very active geothermal activity. Okay, so we drill a deep hole. Okay, so our deep hole ali, so we pump in the cold water. Okay, so we pump in the cold water. So there, deep underground, there will be a water table. What I'm, my cursor is moving. Okay, so so when we pump the cold water down the drill, what we have made, okay, so there will be a water table inside. Okay, so and the temperature will be very high. So the water what we have pumped in to those drills, okay, that will be get heated. Okay, so there will be that water which we have pumped in, that will be getting heated. The temperature of that water will be raised, and we will have another drill on the other side. Okay, so that through that drill, so that heated water will be taken out. Okay, so ಯಾರೋ ಏನೋ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನಾವು ಕೋಲ್ಡ್ ವಾಟರ್ನ ಪಂಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ, ಸೊ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಆ ವಾಟರ್ನ ಮೇಲ್ ತಗೋತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಔಟ್, ಇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಹೀಟ್, ಹಾಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟೀಮ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ದಟ್ hot water or steam comes out, it comes out with a high pressure. Okay, so because when you're pushing something from one side, so it needs to come with the same pressure from the other side. Okay, so it comes with a high pressure. So that steam or hot water is forced against this, put in the place of a turbine. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಟರ್ಬೈನ್ ಇಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೇವೆ, ಜನರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಟರ್ಬೈನ್ ಇಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ಹಾಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟೀಮ್ಗೆ against agi, that turbine will be kept, and that turbines will rotate when the steam or hot water is get in contact with that turbine. Okay, so that turbine which rotates, so it will be connected to a generator in the generating station. So that generator and transformers get those ones will convert that energy, that heat energy, to electricity. Okay, so all these basically, so hydropower, the wind power, so and this geothermal is based upon this turbine. So we place turbines against the falling water in the hydropower. Okay, so again, with turbines will be kept against the wind in the wind energy. Okay, so in geothermal energy, so we place those turbines, that means blades which rotate. Okay, so turbines are kept against the steam or hot water in case of geothermal. So basically, so the original resource what we use for the generation of electricity is different in these different renewable resources. Okay, so as I said, we use water in hydropower, so wind in wind energy, then heat of the earth in the geothermal energy. Okay, so then what are the advantages of these of this geothermal energy? So it is renewable. So as long as the earth exists, so there will be heat inside the earth. So using that heat, we can generate geothermal energy. Okay. So then what is the other advantage is no pollution. Okay. So there is no pollution when generating, there is generating electricity through geothermal power. So because why is it there is no pollution in geothermal and there is nothing is burnt. Okay. So in fossil fuels, like, different types of fossil fuels, when we burn them, we energy is generated. So there is a lot of air, different types of air pollution will be happening. Okay. So nothing is burnt here. So there is no pollution. Doesn't damage environment. So these are the advantages of geothermal energy. So what are the disadvantages of these? And there are very few places in the world where you can do this. So not in it's this geothermal activity is not universal. Ella kade nimge geothermal activity all ella piece of land irodilla. So that is one of the disadvantage. Costs a lot of money to drill the deep into the ground. All right. So it's quite obvious that if you have to drill too many very deep, drill ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ deep inside the earth ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ it will cost very much. So that is the another problem. So we get the land gets drilled for the groundwater, right? So ನಿಮಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೋರ್ ಕೊರ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ. So it is quite expensive to go quite few, ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಡಿಗಳು ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಿ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮೂವ್. All right. So so this is when we are talking about geothermal, we are talking about thousands of kilometers down the earth. Okay. So ಈಗ ನೀವು 300 ಅಡಿ 400 ಅಡಿ 1000 like 500 ಅಡಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. when we are considering quite deep, like thousands of kilometers ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, so obviously it will cost more. So those were the advantages and disadvantages of this geothermal energy. Okay. So then biomass energy. So this also comes under the renewable resource. Okay. So what is this biomass energy? So bio means life. I keep telling. So bio refers to life. Okay. So mass refers to the organic matter. Okay. So organic matter or the weight of the whatever the living things. Okay. So this energy can be generated through the residues from different sectors. Okay. So for example, animal residues in the so if you heard of biogas kelirtire. So gas or the which is generated using animal waste. So if you heard of biogas tank ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. So using animal waste like cow dung ಅದರ ಸಗಣಿನ ಬಳಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು energy can be generated, or the gas which is flammable. Okay. So that can be generated. All right. So ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ it's like not very much, not very number of biogas plants are seen around, because the gas or the natural gas or LPG what we use is used extensively. Okay. So even using that cow dung, it's an animal waste that can be converted into energy. Okay. So industrial residues galinda now we can generate energy. So then forest crops and residues. Forest crops like the dried twigs and dried branches, dried leaves, those can be used to burn it combustible. Okay. So we can burn it and get the heat energy. Okay. So then agricultural crops and agricultural residues. So agricultural residues means the whatever the waste from the agricultural sector. So like the shells of the coconut, or shells like the or dried coconut tree leaves, and ಈ ಅಡಿಕೆ ಸಿಪ್ಪೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ ಅಥವಾ ಅಡಿಕೆ ಎಲೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ತೆಂಗಿನ ಮಟ್ಟೆ, ತೆಂಗಿನ ಸಿಪ್ಪೆ, ಆ ಥರದ ಯಾವುದೇ ಈಗ ಪ್ಯಾಡಿ ಬೆಳೆದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ಯಾಡಿದು ಡ್ರೈಡ್ ಹೇ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಒಣಗಿರೋ ಅಂತ ಹುಲ್ಲು. ಸೊ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಕಡೆ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಬೆಂಕಿ ಹಚ್ಚಿ ಒಲೆಗಳನ್ನ ಉರಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಹೀಗೆ ಸೊ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್, ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ರೆಸಿಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ in generation of heat or energy. Okay, so then sewage. So sewage also to some extent can be used. So sewage ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಸಾಲಿಡ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ as well. So if you manage those solid waste properly. Okay, so this is about the biomass energy. So the application of biomass. So waste organic biomass can be directly used as domestic fuels. Okay, so organic biomass na ನಾವು ಬಳಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾ ಹೇಳ್ದೆ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಕಡೆ in rural sectors, so people still use for heating and cooking purposes. They use the agricultural waste or organic biomass na use ಮಾಡಿ, so they convert that type of waste to get the heat. Okay, so biogas is used as domestic fuel in gas stoves like LPG. So LPG galali, LPG basically it's one of the byproduct of natural gas or crude oil, but sometimes biogas can also be used in the LPG. So then biogas can be used to run the engines, boilers and turbines. So then methane gas produced from the biogas plants can be used to run the gas engines and farm machineries, right? So the biogas, the main component of that biogas is methane. Okay, so methane is a hydrocarbon. Okay, so hydrocarbon means, so it's a chemical which has carbon and hydrogen in it. All right, so methane is the main component in the biogas. So that can be produced using the biomass. So it is used for heating water, right? So this was regarding the renewable resources. So we discussed about the till now the different resources: solar energy, hydropower energy, then wind energy. So then right now geothermal energy, then biomass energy. So these are the renewable resources. You need to bear in mind, you need to remember what comes under renewable and what types of energy resources come under non-renewable resources. Okay, so after finishing this renewable resources, we come to knowing about non-renewable energy resources. Okay, so the slide what you're seeing is non-renewable energy resources. That's correct, is it? How that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
under this non-renewable energy resources, okay, so we have this oil, then coal, then gas. These three come under fossil fuels. Okay, so crude oil or coal, then gas. Okay, so these three come, we put into a same category, we call it as fossil fuels and the health. So then this nuclear, okay, so nuclear energy, so that means, so nuclear power plants where we generate electricity using radioactive elements like uranium. Okay, so that we call it as nuclear energy and the health. Okay, so all these, they come under non-renewable energy resources. So why are they considered as non-renewable means, so these ones, when all these we get from the nature, so these ones, they get finished occurring, so we cannot regenerate it, we cannot renew it. So that's why we have classified these ones under non-renewable energy resources. Clear? Okay, so then coming to the next slide. So what are fossil fuels? So we'll discuss about fossil fuels. So fossil fuels are natural resources such as coal, oil, and natural gas containing hydrocarbons. All these coal, oil, and natural gas, they contain hydrocarbons. So these fuels are formed in the earth over years, millions of years, and produce carbon dioxide when burnt. Okay, so these fossil fuels have taken millions of years, around 250 to 300 million years. 1 million is 10 lakh, you all know that. So calculate how much years it can be in our we do. So it takes around 250 or 255 to 300 million years for these to form in the Earth's crust. Okay, so that's why once these gets finished, when this gets exhausted occurring in the Earth crust, so we cannot make it. Okay, so we do not have that long years, 250 or 300 million years. We do not have that long years for them these to be regenerate. Namage ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮು ಇಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ. Okay, so that's why we consider them as non-renewable resources. And when all these different types, coal, oil, and natural gas is burnt, so carbon dioxide is released. So some coal ali, when we burn coal, when we combust ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, that means basically burning, combustion ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ. So when we burn anything in the presence of oxygen, we call it as combustion ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. So when we burn these ones, carbon dioxide is released. So it depends what type of, if you are using coal ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, a lot of carbon dioxide is released, but oil use ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ್ಲೂ large amount of carbon dioxide is released. Natural gas use ಮಾಡುವಾಗ very little amount is released. Okay, so then how, in the mineral resources, we came to know that these we generate, extract coal from the Earth's crust through mining. Okay, so deep surface mining or subsurface mining method na use ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು, so we extract coal from the Earth crust and we generate the crude oil. So we extract crude oil in the oil rigs ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಆಯಿಲ್ ರಿಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಸಮುದ್ರದ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಆಯಿಲ್ ರಿಚ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅಂತಹ ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಗೇನ್ ವಿ ಡ್ರಿಲ್ ಅರ್ತ್ ಸರ್ಫೇಸ್. ಸೊ ಬಿಲೋ ದ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಆಯಿಲ್ ರಿಗ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಅಕರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಓಷನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆಫ್ ದ ಶೋರ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಓಷನ್ ಕಡೆ ಹೋದಾಗ, ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ, ಸೊ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ಸಮ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅಂತ ಕಡೆ ಡೀಪ್ ಡ್ರಿಲ್, ಭೂಮಿನ ಸಮುದ್ರದ ತಳದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಡ್ರಿಲ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಯಿಲ್ನ, ಕ್ರೂಡ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ನ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ಅಥವಾ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್, ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ byproducts we get while the crude oil is being refined. Okay, so after getting the crude oil, so we need to take it to a refinery. Okay, so I'll tell you that in this class later. Okay, so next, so then coming, what is coal? So it's one of the fossil fuel. So this coal is hard, black colored, rock like substance, right? So it is made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, so varying amounts of sulfur. So what does this coal contain anta helidre? So basically majority of it will be carbon. So other elements present in the coal are hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and there is some amount of sulfur as well. So there are three main types of coal. Okay, so idralli ಮೂರು ತರದ ಕೋಲ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಕಲ್ಲಿದ್ಲು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ ಕೋಲ್ಗೆ. So those three main types are anthracite. Okay, so anthracite, bituminous, and lignite. So these three types of coal we get from the earth crust, ಭೂಮಿಯ ಒಳಭಾಗದಿಂದ. ಸೊ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಮೂರು ಥರದ ಕೋಲ್ ಕಲ್ಲಿದ್ಲು ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so then anthracite coal is the hardest and has more carbon content. Okay, so this anthracite ಅನ್ನೋಂಥ variety of coal ಇದಲ್ಲ, so it has 80 to 90% of this anthracite coal has carbon in it. Okay, so only 10 to 20% will be sulfur and other nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen alla. So majority of this anthracite coal has got carbon in it. Okay, so you can say it's the best form of coal anta helbodu. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಪದಾರ್ಥ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಲೈಕ್ ವಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ದಟ್ differentiate, we classify that into different depending upon the quality. ಸೊ ಇದು ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಅಥವಾ ಇದು ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಲೆಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗೆ ಇದ್ರ ಕೋಲಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ anthracite is the best quality which has the most carbon content. Okay, so then bituminous contains around 80% carbon. So anthracite ಅಲ್ಲಿ 90% carbon ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ bituminous ಅಲ್ಲಿ 80% carbon ಇರುತ್ತೆ. lignite ಅಲ್ಲಿ 70% carbon ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so more the carbon content in any type of the coal, so higher the value of energy. Okay, so ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಕೊಡುವಂತ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಕೂಡ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಹಿಯರ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಂಥ್ರಸೈಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನಾವು ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲೋರಿಫಿಕ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಕ್ಯಾಲೋರಿಫಿಕ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ದ little ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆಂಥ್ರಸೈಟ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಂಟೈನ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಹೈ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಒಂದು 100 grams ಆಫ್ anthracite ನ ಉರ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ, ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಎ ಪಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಹೀಟೆಡ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ. ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಬ್ರಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಬಾಯ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ lignite ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ 100 grams ಯು ಮೈಟ್ ನೀಡ್ 500 grams ಆಫ್ lignite. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ with that example you can relate how these calorific value is can be understood. Okay, so 100 grams of anthracite can heat a pot of water, but lignite, which is a very low quality or which contains very low carbon, okay, that lignite might, what we need to heat a pot of water, we might need 500 grams. Okay, so anthracite coal is the hardest and has more carbon content, which gives it a higher energy content. That's what I was explaining right now. And lignite is the softest and is low in carbon but high in hydrogen and oxygen content. So lignite alli kadmi carbon irutte, but hydrogen ಮತ್ತೆ oxygen content ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So bituminous is in between. So this bituminous lies in between anthracite and lignite. Okay, so today the precursor to coal, peat, is still found in many countries and is also used as a energy source. So there is, after this anthracite, bituminous and lignite, there is another quality of coal. We call it as peat anta heltave, PEAT. Okay, so peat, so that is lower quality than the lignite. Okay, so this peat is the very low quality of coal, so lower than the lignite. Okay, so when these coal is formed in the earth crust, okay, so that usually the I've been telling the plants and animals very plants and animals which were existing millions of years ago, so they get buried under the earth crust. Okay, so when they are buried under the earth crust, so there will be a lot of heat and pressure when something is buried. Okay, so when these dead organic matter, dead plants and animals gets buried under the earth crust, so they convert into these different type of fossil fuels. Okay, so first it will get converted to peat, and when that innu sakashtu varshagaladmele that get converted to lignite. Okay, so more years anta heli, so hage, so peat agi, lignite agi, bituminous agi, anthracite hagta hogutte. So there is these are the different types of coal. So it is it takes a long time. So if any coal ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಅಂತಹ ಕಡೆ ಒಂದು ಕೋಲ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಗಿತಾ ಹೋದಂಗೆ, so you might get any type of these type of coal. Okay, bituminous ಸಿಗ್ಬೋದು, lignite ಸಿಗ್ಬೋದು, anthracite ಸಿಗ್ಬೋದು. Like somebody's mic is on, please put it off. Okay, so when we come to know if a deep inside the earth we get any type of coal anta helidre. So if we start getting if we start digging it, we might get any these type of coal. Peat sigbodu namge, lignite type of coal sigbodu, athwa bituminous or anthracite sigbodu. So anthracite is very hard to find in the earth. Okay, so this anthracite, sometimes this is also called as hard coal anta ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. Okay, so these slides can explain better. So peat, it's a coal anta, like, it's the initial, very initial stage of coal can be called as peat. Okay, so this is peat is partially decayed plant matter in swamps and bogs. Okay, low heat content. This peat has got very low heat content irutte. So better than that, when this peat gets a lot of heat and pressure, so that gets converted to lignite. So that lignite called, the other name for lignite is brown coal anta heltave. So low heat content, low sulfur content, limited supply in most areas. Okay, so then if more years pass by anta heldaga, so this lignite, so which is it might get converted to bituminous type of coal. So that it's called bituminous type of coal, we call it as soft coal anta heltave. Okay, so bituminous coal is extensively used as fuel because of its high heat content, and large supplies normally has high sulfur content. Okay, so this bituminous has high sulfur content. So this bituminous is better than peat and lignite. Okay, so then comes the best quality coal, so that is anthracite. Bituminous, if it's left for many years, so that gets converted to anthracite. That anthracite, we call it as hard coal anta ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. Okay, so this anthracite is highly desirable fuel because of its high heat content and low sulfur content. Supplies are limited in most areas. So ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಈ anthracite coal ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, so very few areas are there where we get anthracite. So just to give an example, in India, very many states ಅಲ್ಲಿ we get different this peat, lignite, bituminous coal ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶಲ್ಲಿ, ಜಾರ್ಖಂಡಲ್ಲಿ, ಒರಿಸ್ಸಾಲಿ, ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬೆಂಗಾಲ್, ಮಧ್ಯಪ್ರದೇಶ್, ಮಹಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ. So in these states we get Karnataka, we get many places, many states, we have the coal reserve. Okay, so in all those states we get different types, peat, lignite and bituminous. But this anthracite, it occurs only in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so Jammu and Kashmir ali matra ee anthracite, which is a hard coal, it exists only in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so from this coal aspect, so what are these coals? So what are the different forms of fossil fuels, types of coal? Okay, the names of these. So the alternate names for this lignite, bituminous and anthracite, so that you need to be aware of. Okay, so which has lot of carbon content among these different types of coal. Okay, so that you need to be thorough with concept wise. So ನಾನು exams ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ test ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, so which is the best type of coal ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, so which has more carbon content, so answer would be anthracite. Okay, so the question can be asked likewise, so which has high sulfur content? So coal, yeah, what type of actually the sulfur is a impurity. So we can call this sulfur as a impurity anta ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ. So ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಕೋಲ್ ಬೇಡದಲೇ ಇರೋ ಅಂಶ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು that sulfur. Okay, so when we extract any type of minerals, so we get while extracting those basic ore na ನಾವು extract ಮಾಡುವಾಗ, so we get that ore with lot of impurities. ಹಾಗೆ ಇದು ಕೋಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಇಂಪ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಸಲ್ಫರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಆ ಸಲ್ಫರು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ನಾ ಹೇಳೋ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಲಿಗ್ನೈಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಿಟುಮಿನಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸಲ್ಫರ್ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಆಂಥ್ರಸೈಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಇಂಪ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ sulfur. Okay, so then that was regarding the one type of fossil fuel, that is coal. So next is petroleum. So petrol, yes.
Should we consider petal
what paid for as a coal or what, ma'am?
So it can, generally speaking, we consider that as a coal as well.
For examination, only 3 types or 4 types we should consider.
Example, you can say only 3 types. Okay. So you basic main agi classify ಮಾಡೋದು lignite, bituminous, anthracite ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಬಟ್ ಲಿಗ್ನೈಟ್ ಗಿಂತ ಲೋ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಇರೋವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ಲೈಕ್ ನಾವು ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಪೀಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. So if you are asked in the exam which are the three based again, it's the as this paper is the multiple choice question. So 4 answers ಅಲ್ಲಿ appropriate one ಅನ್ನ ನೀವು ಬರಿಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so whatever is the best answer out of the 4 you need to go for, right? So again it depends upon the option what are given there. Aita? All right. Okay. So in general agi, so these main classification of coal is lignite, bituminous, and anthracite. Okay. So this was the solid fossil fuel we just discussed. So then coming to the liquid form of the fossil fuel, so we get this petroleum. So petroleum as it is namge petrol and the petrol as it is sigodilla. So we get this petroleum from the crude oil. Okay. So again petroleum, so Latin word in the bandiro anta word idu. So petra means rock. Okay. So petra means rock and oleum means oil. Okay. So we get this petroleum from crude oil. Crude oil is a naturally occurring toxic flammable liquid consisting of complex mixture of hydrocarbons. Okay. So again, so this crude oil, which is a naturally occurring and it is toxic and flammable means, so which can so ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಂಕಿ ಹಚ್ಚಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಉರಿಯುತ್ತೆ. So that we call it as flammable ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಬೆಂಕಿ ಹತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಅಂತಹ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್. What does it consist ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, it consists of complex mixture of hydrocarbons of various molecular weight. Molecular weights ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ hydrocarbons ಏನಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, different types of hydrocarbons, so they have different molecular weights. Okay, different organic compounds irutte. Okay, so then that are found in the geological formations beneath the earth surface. We know that already. Okay, so petroleum is recovered mostly through oil drilling. Okay, oil drilling mulka namge we get this crude oil. It is refined and separated. Okay, so it is refined and separated mostly through most easily by boiling point. Okay, boiling point now ಒಂದು basic principle ಆಗಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು, so that in complex mixture of hydrocarbons in ಈ crude oil ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, so ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು boil ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, so we get different byproducts of this crude oil. So into a large, so most easily by boiling point into a large number of consumer products. Okay, so from gasoline and kerosene to asphalt and chemical reagents used to make plastic and pharmaceutical. We get very wide range using we can many products can be generated using crude oil. So that can be understood in this slide. Okay, so this is refineries anta kelirtiri. Okay, so refineries ali what is the function or what is the manufactured in that anta ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, so ಈ crude oil na ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು somewhere the crude oil is extracted in the drilling oil rigs ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Okay, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ extract ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಅಂತ crude oil ನ ಸೊ ನಾವು ಪೈಪ್ಲೈನ್ಗಳ ಮೂಲಕ ಅಥವಾ ಶಿಪ್ಗಳ ಮೂಲಕ ಅಥವಾ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ಗಳ ಮೂಲಕ ನಾವು ಈ ರಿಫೈನರೀಸ್ಗೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೇವೆ. Okay, so these refineries are the factories where this crude oil is separated into different ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಬೈ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಗಳಿಗೆ ನಾವು ರಿಫೈನರೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ refineries ali how it is done, how the different compounds of this crude oil are separated anta helidre. So what is done is, so this crude oil will be is sent to a furnace anta helteve. Okay, so the central iruanta this yellow and orange iruanta ಕಂಟೈನರ್ ಇದಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಆ ಕಂಟೈನರ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಫರ್ನೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. okay, refineries ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Okay, so that crude oil will be sent through a pipe. So when that crude oil ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಕ್ರೂಡ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ವೆರಿ ಹೈ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅಗೈನ್, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಹೀಟ್, ವೇರ್ ಡಸ್ ದಟ್ ಹೀಟ್ ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್? ಸೊ ಅಗೈನ್ ವಿ ಬರ್ನ್ ಕೋಲ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಒನ್, ಈ ರಿಫೈನರೀಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕ್ರೂಡ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ ಹೈ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಬಾಯ್ಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಕೋಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಕೋಲ್ನ ಬಳಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸೊ ಆ ಕ್ರೂಡ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ನ ಬಾಯ್ಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಬಾಯ್ಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, ಸೊ ಅಟ್ ಹೈ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್, ಸೊ the different byproducts of this crude oil gets separated at a different boiling temperatures. Okay, so ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್, ನಾಫ್ತಾ, ಕೆರೋಸಿನ್, ಡೀಸೆಲ್, ಫ್ಯೂಯಲ್ ಆಯಿಲ್, ಲ್ಯೂಬ್ರಿಕೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಯಿಲ್, ಬಿಟುಮಿನ್, ಸೊ ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸು ಕ್ರೂಡ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇದೆಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ they have their own boiling points. All these byproducts of crude oil have different boiling point. So for example, boiling point of water is what?
100 degrees.
100 degrees centigrade. Yes, 100 degrees centigrade. Hage, so kerosindu 180 degrees centigrade. Petrol do 30 degrees centigrade. Okay, so all these byproducts will have their own boiling points. So as we heat this crude oil, so as that pertaining temperature nimge, so 30 degrees centigrade ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದೆನ್ 110 ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಂಟಿಗ್ರೇಡ್ಗೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅವಾಗ ನಾಫ್ತಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಒಂದು ಬೈ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದು ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ಕೆರೋಸಿನ್, ನಾವು ಸೀಮೆಣ್ಣೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಅದು ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ವೆನ್ ಗೆಟ್ reaches 180 degrees centigrade. So diesel will be separated from the crude oil when the temperature reaches to 260 degrees centigrade. Okay, so fuel oil or lubricating oil, they have higher boiling points. They will be the last one to separate from the crude oil. Okay, so hige bigger furnace ali, so this method of separating the byproducts from the crude oil, we call it as fractional distillation anta heltave. Okay, so fractional distillation is nothing but, so the process of heating some liquid is called as distillation. Okay, so this process we call it as fractional distillation. Why is it fractional anta helidre? Fraction means part of it or a portion of it, fraction of some, fraction of a thread or fraction of a rope anta helidre. So some segment of it will be getting heated. So fractional distillation means at different temperatures, different products will be separated from the main crude oil. From main product inda namge ee tarada different byproducts sigutte. So that's why we call it as fractional distillation anta heltave. Okay, so that's regarding the separation of the byproducts from the crude oil. So this was the liquid form of fuel. Okay, so then comes the natural gas. Okay, so natural gas is also a fossil fuel comprised mostly of methane. That is around 87% of the natural gas is 87% is methane, and is one of the cleanest burning alternative fuels. So compared to this coal and compared to all the byproducts of the crude oil, namge petrol, diesel, kerosene, adu elladukku compare madidre, so this natural gas is one of the cleanest burning alternative fuels. Okay, so clean agi yavdu residue bidala. So for example, when we burn coal, so adu urdhadmele residue sakashtu carbon dioxide na bitkodutte, and after burning, so lot of residue will be left behind. ಬೂದಿ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಕಲ್ಲಿದ್ಲನ್ನ ಬರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಟೋಮೊಬೈಲ್ಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್, ಡೀಸೆಲ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ನ ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಟು ದಟ್ ಕೋಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ petroleum products, so natural gas is considered as the cleanest burning alternative fuels. Okay, so it can be used in the form of CNG or LNG. Okay, so CNG stands for compressed natural gas. Okay, so LNG stands for liquefied natural gas. Okay, so natural gas na ನಾವು when we compress it, okay, so compress ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಒತ್ತುದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ರೂಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ನ ನಾವು ಕಂಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಇಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇಂಟು ಲಿಕ್ವಿಫೈಡ್, ಇಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಗೆ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಫೈಡ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್. ಸೊ ಈಗ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ನೇ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಓಕೆ, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಯೂಸ್ ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಈಸಿಯರ್ ಟು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್. ಡು ಯು ಆಲ್ ಅಗ್ರಿ? ಸೊ ನೀವು ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಫ್ಯೂಯಲ್ನ ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಿಗಾರು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಸೊ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಲೀಕ್ಡ್ ಈಸಿಲಿ. Okay, so that's why for that purpose, to make it easy to transport around, so that natural gas gets converted into liquid form. So that is called as liquefied natural gas. ನಾವು ಏನು ಸಿಲಿಂಡರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಳಸ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ, LPG ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ, so that is natural gas which is in the form of liquid. Okay, so then so last slide for the day. So what is LPG? Okay, LPG stands for liquid petroleum gas. Basically it is colorless and odorless. Okay, so basically it is colorless and odorless irutte. But the cylinders ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟವ್ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದು ಫ್ಲೇಮ್ ಆನ್ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ we get a pungent smell, bad smell ಸಿಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ. So that is because we purposefully add a gas called methyl mercaptan ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಫೌಲ್ ಸ್ಮೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ನ ನಾವು LPGಗೆ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಈಥೈಲ್ ಮರ್ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಿನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಒಂದು ಫೌಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಸ್ಮೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ನ ಈ LPGಗೆ ನಾವು ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೇವೆ. ವೈ ಡು ವಿ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಟು ಡಿಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ದ ಲೀಕೇಜ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ LPG ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಡೇಂಜರಸ್. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಕೇಳಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಮನೇಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಸ್ಟವ್ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಲೈಕ್ ಫ್ಲೇಮ್ ಹತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಲೀಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಹೋಲ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಬರ್ನ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಆ ಲೀಕೇಜ್ನ ಡಿಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಈಥೈಲ್ ಮರ್ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಿನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಪರ್ಪಸ್ಫುಲಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಟೆನ್ಷನಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಡಸ್ ದಿಸ್ LPG ಕಂಟೈನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮೀಥೇನ್, ಪ್ರೊಪೇನ್, ethane and butanes. So these are all the hydrocarbons present in the LPG. Okay, small concentration of propylene and butylene in small concentration present irutte. So ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ ethyl mercaptan ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, so powerful odorant ethane thiols, okay, are added for the leak test. ಲೀಕೇಜ್ ಇರೋವಂಥದ್ದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಸೊ ಇಂಥದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಓಡ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಮೆಲ್ ಇರುವಂಥ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ನ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಅಟ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ LPG ವಿಲ್ ಎವಾಪ್ರೇಟ್. ಸೊ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟಾಗ ಸೊ ನೀವು ಗ್ಯಾಸಿಂದ ಹೊರಗೆ ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಎವಾಪ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್, right? So it is a low emitting carbon, it is low emitting carbon fuel, only 19% carbon dioxide per kilowatt than oils. So this carbon dioxide released when we burn this natural gas is very low compared to the coal and petroleum products. It's having high calorific value irutte idike. So you don't need to remember that number 26 point whatever it's given on the slide. It's not much of importance for us. Okay, so it's also called as C3C4 hydrocarbons anta heltave idike. So LPG replaces carbofluorocarbons as aerosol propellants. ಸೊ ಕ್ಲೋರೋಫ್ಲೋರೋಕಾರ್ಬನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರಿಗೆ ಏರೋಸಾಲ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೊಪೆಲೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ LPGನ ರಿಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಹಲೋ, ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಹಿಯರ್ ಮೀ?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think it's time now. It's 1:30. So I take I'll stop my class now. So probably you'll have the next class. So thank you for today and bye for now. Tomorrow we'll meet again. All right. Bye everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye. Okay. Okay.